Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are diving deep into a company called Aloagri
Okay,
and how they're using blockchain tech to
interesting.
kind of shake up the organic farm produce market.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating look at how an industry like agriculture, which is, so rooted in tradition, can embrace really cutting-edge technology.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think this blend of agriculture and blockchain shows just how adaptable this tech really is.
Absolutely. And we've got some research and articles here about their system,
Mm-hmm.
and they're boasting some features that sound pretty complex, like farm-to-invoice traceability
Right?
and even ERP to ERP integration.
Oh,
What
wow.
does all that even
I know
mean?
it sounds like a lot, but the idea is actually pretty simple.
Hmm.
Allo Agritech wants to build a system that's transparent and efficient,
Okay.
where everyone from the farmers to restaurants to even us consumers
Yeah.
can trace exactly where their produce comes from.
Okay. I'm intrigued already. And one thing that really caught my eye was that Aloagri actually tried this blockchain thing before, back in 2017,
Oh, really?
but they had to shut it down.
Hmm. I wonder what happened.
Yeah, so what happened there?
Well, back in 2017, things were different in India. The Reserve Bank of India had banned cryptocurrency transactions.
Uh-oh.
And on top of that, the price of Ethereum, which is a popular blockchain platform, was super volatile.
Oh, so it was just impossible to...
It made managing those transactions a real headache.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
That must have been a huge setback for them.
definitely.
But it sounds like they learned from that and came back even stronger.
Oh, absolutely. Allo Agritech relaunched in 2024
Okay.
with a new and improved approach. They took into account the regulations and all the advancements in blockchain.
That's awesome. All right, so let's break down this farm-to-invoice traceability.
Okay.
What does that actually look like, in practice?
Sure.
Like, say I'm a restaurant owner. Using Aloagri to get my produce, what kind of info would I have access to?
Okay, so imagine you're looking at your invoice for a delivery of tomatoes.
Okay.
With Allo Agritech's system, you could just click a button and boom, you see which farm those tomatoes came from,
Oh, well,
when they were harvested,
okay.
even details about the farming practices they used.
That's really impressive.
Yeah.
I can see how that would be huge for restaurants, especially ones that, prioritize transparency and really want to show their customers,
Right.
hey, this is where our ingredients come from. This is
Yeah.
the quality.
Yeah.
But how does it all work behind the scenes?
So Allo Agritech uses something called a permissioned blockchain,
Okay.
which means it's a private network.
Okay.
Only authorized users can get in.
Right.
This particular one is compatible with the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance standards,
Gotcha.
which means top-notch security and reliability.
So it's like an exclusive club,
Exactly.
but for tracking organic produce.
Yeah, pretty much.
I like that.
Mhm.
And they're also using a Web3 API, which is basically a way for computer systems to talk to each other
Right.
and share information securely.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
But if it's all on a blockchain, does that mean all this information is public?
Hmm.
What about stuff that businesses might want to keep private?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
While they do make a lot of the data public, they're smart about it.
Okay.
They use a mix of tech to keep things transparent, but also private.
Okay.
For example, they don't share pricing info publicly.
Makes sense. Wouldn't want my competitors knowing how much I'm paying for stuff.
Right.
But how do they ensure that the public data hasn't been tampered with?
So for that, they use cryptographic hashes.
Mm.
It's like a digital fingerprint
Right.
for every document in the system.
Okay.
Invoices, certificates, reports, even a tiny change would totally change the hash.
So it's like a tamper-proof seal
Exactly.
guaranteeing the authenticity.
Exactly.
Okay. And what about the sensitive information that needs to stay private?
For that, they use the baseline protocol. This lets businesses share confidential data like pricing,
Right.
but only with the people who need to know.
So it's like a secret conversation
Yeah.
within a larger transparent system.
Exactly.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's a good way to balance things out.
Definitely. All right. So we've got a good grasp on this farm-to-invoice traceability.
Hmm.
But what about this ERP to ERP integration you mentioned?
Oh, yeah. This is where things get really interesting.
Okay. Lay it on me.
Remember that permissioned blockchain?
Yeah.
They're also using it to connect their own ERP system,
Okay.
which stands for Enterprise Resource Planning,
Right.
with the ERP systems of their partners,
Right.
like farmers and distributors.
So instead of everyone having their own separate systems,
Yeah,
they're all connected through this blockchain.
exactly.
That's a pretty big idea.
It is. They're using platforms like Hyperledger Besu and Tessera,
Okay,
which are perfect for this kind of secure data sharing and collaboration.
got it. And they're aligning their system with ONDC, the Open Network for Digital Commerce in India.
Yes,
So they're creating this whole interconnected ecosystem
they are.
where information can just flow between businesses.
It's a bold vision.
It is.
Mm.
But how do they plan on actually implementing something this complex?
I've got a roadmap
Okay.
with 3 main milestones.
Right.
The first step is deploying and testing their farm-to-invoice thing,
Okay.
but on a smaller scale, using a single-node blockchain
Right.
with proof of authority consensus.
So kind of a test run
Exactly.
before going all in.
That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. What are the next steps?
So the second milestone is integrating with the ONDC reference app.
Don't you?
This will let them streamline invoice transfers between businesses on the network.
Okay, so everything's faster and more efficient.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm starting to see how this all comes together. It's like a digital highway for ag products
I like that.
to travel on. From the farm to our tables.
Yeah.
What's the final piece?
The third milestone is integration with an app called Cato. It focuses on catalog publishing.
Okay.
This will allow farmers and producers to show off their products
Oh.
and connect with buyers
Directly on the platform.
right on the Aloagri platform.
Wow. That is a lot of moving pieces.
It is.
It seems like they're thinking about the entire life cycle of their products
Yeah, they really are.
and how to make this system really efficient.
And connected.
Yeah.
And there's more. They're also using this database called Doltbreb.
Doltreb.
Yeah, I've never even heard of that.
It adds another layer of innovation.
Okay, what's so special about it?
Doltreb is a SQL database that works like a Git repository.
Hmm.
A system developers use to track changes to code.
Okay, yeah.
With Doltreb, every change to the database creates a new version history.
Oh, so it's like a time machine for your database.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can go back and see every change
Oh,
that's ever been made.
Yeah.
And to make it even more secure,
Okay.
each version of the Doltreb is notarized on the Algorand blockchain.
Hold on, notarized. What does that even mean in this context? So notarization basically means creating a permanent record
Okay.
of the database on the blockchain.
Gotcha.
This makes sure the data is always accessible.
Okay.
It's verifiable and can't be changed later.
So even if someone tries to mess with the data,
Yeah,
the blockchain record would show it.
exactly. It adds a lot of trust and accountability.
Wow. So they're really going all out to ensure the integrity of their data.
They really are.
That's impressive. But we're only halfway through all this fascinating info about Aloagritech's blockchain system.
I know, right?
We've got a lot more to unpack, so stay tuned for part 2,
Definitely.
where we'll explore this mysterious L2 private blockchain network they keep mentioning,
It's going to be good.
and their intriguing AGRI token.
Can't wait.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're digging deeper into Aloagritech's use of blockchain in the organic farm produce market. Before the break, we were talking about their farm-to-invoice traceability and their plans to build this, interconnected ecosystem
Exactly.
through
that.
ERP to ERP integration. And they even have that Doltreb database.
Yeah, it's like a living record of everything that happens in their system. All notarized on the Algorand blockchain for extra security.
Right. Talk about transparency. But there's one thing we haven't really touched on yet, this L2 private blockchain network they keep mentioning. What's that all about?
So it's basically a more exclusive network within the larger Aloagritech ecosystem. Kind of like a VIP club for trusted partners who've gone through that know your customer process.
Okay, so not just anyone can join. What's the advantage of being in this L2 network?
Let's say you're an ONDC seller already working with Aloagritech. By joining the L2 network, you get access to even deeper levels of traceability. You could link your invoices directly to the harvest data.
Wow, so it's like an extra layer of trust and verification for businesses that really want to show they're committed to transparency.
Exactly.
I'm curious, though, they keep mentioning Hyperledger, Besu, and Tessera
Yeah.
in the context of this L2 network. Aren't those the platforms they're using for the ERP integration, too?
Yeah, but they're using them a bit differently here. On the L2 network, they're using something called private smart contracts, which let participants make secure and confidential transactions.
Makes sense, especially when you're dealing with sensitive information.
Right, like pricing agreements.
So it's all about finding that balance. Again, transparency for consumers,
Exactly.
but privacy for the business stuff.
Public smart contracts handle the public data,
Okay.
and private ones keep the confidential info safe within the L2 network.
So they've designed the system to meet everyone's needs.
They have?
Farmers, distributors, restaurants, and even us, the end consumers.
Yeah, they've thought of everything. And they're not stopping there.
What else?
Aloagri has even hinted at adding CBDC-based escrow to the network.
CBDC. Now, what was that again?
Central bank digital currency. Basically a digital version of a country's regular currency, issued and regulated by the central bank.
So they could potentially use digital rupees for transactions on their platform.
Exactly, instead of traditional bank transfers or even cryptocurrency.
Oh, that's pretty forward-thinking.
It is.
Especially with all the uncertainty around crypto.
It seems like they're really anticipating the future of finance.
Definitely. And that brings us to another interesting part of their ecosystem, the AGRI token.
Ah, yes, the AGRI token.
They mentioned it in their materials, but I wasn't really sure what it was all about.
Think of it like the fuel for the L2 network.
Okay.
Business partners who've completed the KYC process can buy AGRI tokens using Indian rupees.
So it's like a membership fee for this VIP club.
In a way, yeah. And whenever a partner wants to update records on the L2 public blockchain, they use AGRI tokens to pay for it.
So it's not just some random crypto asset. It actually has a purpose within the system.
Exactly. Its value is tied to what's happening on the network. And there's another cool aspect. Governance.
Governance.
Yeah.
Like having a say in how the company's run.
Right. AGRI token holders get to vote on stuff like business policies.
Okay.
And even the direction of the tech roadmap.
So it's like a mini democracy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Powered by the AGRI token. I love that. It's so innovative and kind of idealistic.
It is. It's great to see a company taking this decentralized approach. But with all this innovation, it's important to talk about legal and regulatory compliance.
Right. With all the buzz around blockchain and crypto, I have to ask about how Aloagri is navigating those waters, especially in India.
Yeah, it's no secret the government has been cautious about these technologies.
So what are they doing to stay on the right side of the law?
They seem to be very aware of the regulations. They've made sure their system complies with India's Digital Personal Data Protection Act.
The DPDP Act.
Yeah, the one from 2023. It's all about how personal data is handled.
So users can trust that their information is safe.
Exactly. Data privacy is super important.
What about the financial regulations?
Right. You're talking about India's stance on cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
Aloagri has made it clear that all transactions on their platform happen using CBDC or fiat currencies.
Okay, so they're playing by the rules.
They are.
It shows they're serious about building a sustainable and compliant business. It's amazing how much they've managed to accomplish.
It is. They're really pushing the boundaries of what's possible in agriculture.
It makes you think, what other industries could benefit from this kind of transparency and traceability?
Good question.
We've talked a lot about the potential upsides of Aloagri system, but are there any downsides or challenges we haven't considered?
That's a great point. I mean, no system is perfect, right?
Right.
One thing that always comes up with blockchain is data security.
Okay.
Blockchain itself is super secure.
Right.
But any system that relies on technology is vulnerable.
Yeah, that's true. Especially with something like food safety, where the stakes are so high.
Right.
Imagine if someone messed with the data about a product's origin or quality.
Exactly. That's why robust cybersecurity is crucial. And you need constant vigilance to make sure the system stays safe.
Definitely. And another potential challenge I see is the complexity of actually using these systems. Not every business, especially small farms or producers, will have the resources or the know-how to integrate with the blockchain system.
That's a good point. We could see a digital divide where only the bigger, more tech-savvy players benefit.
And then what about us consumers?
Yeah.
Are we ready for this level of transparency?
That's a good question.
Will we even care enough to look into where our food comes from? I know I don't always read every label at the grocery store.
It'll be interesting to see how consumers react as these technologies become more common.
Yeah.
It might take some time for people to understand blockchain and how it can verify the origins of their food. But as awareness grows, maybe the demand for transparency will too.
It's like what happened with fair trade coffee.
Yeah.
Or sustainably sourced seafood. Consumers are starting to make choices based on their values.
Exactly.
So knowing where their food comes from could become another important factor.
It could even become a selling point for the consumers specifically choosing brands that are transparent. Aloagri system could really empower consumers.
Definitely. Well, this has been incredibly eye-opening.
It has.
Feels like we're witnessing a huge shift
Yeah.
in how food is produced, distributed, and consumed.
It's definitely an exciting time
To be following all these developments.
It is. Aloagritech is a great example
Yeah.
of how blockchain can change traditional industries and create a more transparent and sustainable future.
Makes you wonder what other industries could benefit
Yeah.
from this kind of transparency and traceability
It's a big question.
with so many possibilities.
Definitely.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. A huge thank you to our expert for walking us through this fascinating world of agritech and blockchain.
It was my pleasure.
And to our listeners, we hope you found this episode as insightful as we did. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning.